In the year 62 AD, a ship sat moored in a Roman harbor, its hold crammed with passengers desperate to outrun a plague. They had sold everything they owned for passage away from the dying city, convinced that more distance would buy them more life. Among the onlookers stood Lucilius, a close friend of the philosopher Seneca. He wrote to Seneca about what he had witnessed: the frantic energy of people treating their remaining days as a problem to be solved by movement, by accumulation of more tomorrows. Seneca wrote back with a reply that cuts just as deep today. Those fleeing passengers had misunderstood the entire problem. They were not running from death. They were running from life because they had never truly learned to live it. This is the question Epistle 77 asks, and it is not a comfortable one. Are you living your days, or are you simply adding to their count? Seneca wrote Epistle 77 late in his life. After decades navigating the Roman imperial court, he had been exiled by Claudius and spent years as advisor to Nero before the emperor's paranoia turned on him. But the time he wrote these letters, Seneca was a man who had lived very close to death, often by mere political whim. And what he concluded was not what most people expect. The terror people feel about dying is actually a terror about something else: the suspicion that they have not yet lived. The length of a life, he argued, tells you almost nothing about its value. What matters is not the quantity of your days, but the quality of your inhabitation of them. Seneca opens his argument in Epistle 77 with a Stoic gladiator who, facing death in the arena and given no honorable option, chose to end his own life rather than become a spectacle of suffering. Seneca's point is not about death. It is about dignity. The gladiator refused to spend his final moments performing helplessness. He chose the quality of his last act over additional breaths it might buy him. Seneca then asks, why do the rest of us not apply the same clarity to ordinary life? We do not face the arena, but we face the daily choice between living deliberately and merely existing. Most of us choose the latter, not because we must, but because we have never examined the choice. The problem is not that our lives are too short. The problem is that we have confused the passage of time with the experience of living. We treat survival as an achievement. We count our years the way a miser counts coins, hoarding them, terrified of spending them, never asking what they are actually for. Think about your own relationship with time. How often do you reach the end of a week feeling that it somehow evaporated? You were genuinely, exhaustingly busy, yet the week feels hollow. You cannot point to a moment where you were truly present. This is what Seneca means when he writes that most people do not so much live as they pass through life. The days pile up, but they have not inhabited those days. They have survived them. You were rushing toward something: a promotion, a milestone, a better set of circumstances. And while you were rushing, the actual texture of your life was happening without your full participation. Seneca argues that a life can be whole even if it ends before what we consider its natural term. He writes, at whatever point you leave off living, provided you leave off nobly, your life is a whole. Wholeness is not a function of duration. A mosaic is not incomplete because it is small. A poem is not lesser because it is short. What makes them whole is the integrity of what was expressed within the time they had. Your life works the same way. The moment you live with full honesty and genuine commitment to what you value, that moment is complete. If wholeness is available at any moment, not reserved for some mythical future when everything finally lines up, then you are never waiting for permission to start living fully. But Seneca pushes further. He addresses the people who cling to quantity of life because they have never found quality in it, and his diagnosis is unsparing. In the most famous lines of Epistle 77, Seneca turns to the theater. It is with life as it is with a play. It matters not how long the action is spun out, but how good the acting is. A 5-act play that drags without purpose leaves the audience empty. A 2-act play where every scene crackles with meaning stays with people for years. The actor fully inhabited in a small role outshines the lead who is merely going through the motions. Are you actually in the scenes you are living? Are you present with the people in front of you, engaged with the work in front of you, or are you running on autopilot, half present, waiting for the next act? He continues, stop whenever you choose. Only see to it that the closing period is well turned. It is an invitation to take artistic responsibility for your life, to finish well whatever you are doing, to close each day and each conversation with integrity. There is one more line from Epistle 77 that most people skip past, and it may be the most demanding of all. Seneca writes for life, if courage to die be lacking, is slavery. This sounds extreme, but read it carefully. He is pointing at a specific trap. The person so afraid of losing life that they will endure any humiliation, any compromise of their own values, just to survive a little longer. Such a person is not free. Their fear owns them completely. Seneca had watched men debase themselves in Nero's court for the privilege of staying alive another season. They had already died in the only way that mattered. The courage he points to is not the courage to literally die. It is the courage to live without being enslaved by the fear of death. When you stop hoarding days, you become free to actually use them. So what does this look like in ordinary life? Seneca is not asking you to live dramatically. He is asking you to be present in the life you already have. You finish dinner with your family, and instead of retreating to your phone, you stay at the table and actually listen. You stop measuring your value by how full your schedule is and start measuring it by how alive you feel in the hours you have. You begin asking at the end of each day, not only how much did I accomplish, but also, was I actually here? A life well finished is always a life well lived. Seneca's instruction to see to it that the closing period is well turned applies not just to your final years, but to every conversation you end, every project you complete, every day you close before sleep. If you rush every ending, always leaning into the next thing before the current thing is finished, you are training yourself to be absent from your own life. But if you learn to finish well, to close a conversation with genuine attention, to end a day with honest reflection, you are building the quality of presence Seneca spent his career describing. You are making your life a whole, one well-turned moment at a time. You do not need more time. You need more you inside the time you have. Seneca wrote these letters knowing he was living on borrowed time under a volatile emperor. He was killed by Nero's order in 65 AD. Just years after writing them, he had to earn his own wisdom the hard way. The letters survived, and the lesson survived with them. A life finished nobly is a life that is whole. The play does not need to run forever. It needs to be performed well. If this kind of deep engagement with Stoic thought is useful to you, subscribe to the channel. Next time, we explore how the Stoics handled loss and why the ancient practice of negative visualization is one of the most counterintuitively joyful exercises a modern person can try. Stay stoic!